more and more the party has come to approach working people more like missionaries and anthropologists. We show up and we say, we're here to help you become more like us. And we know what you need and we're fighting for it. And there's a fundamental disrespect associated with that. And I think that's been communicated. And I think that disdain has been weaponized by Trump. Uh,
I'm seeing a little bit of the Democrats now circling the wagons and saying, well, yeah, we could have won this race had he stepped out earlier. Is there analysis on your part to speak to this idea that it's not Joe Biden necessarily who was the problem, it was the party that was the problem, or it was the circumstances?
I'm not sure that any Democrat would have won. And I want to talk specifically about the party itself in a second. But if you had given me a piece of paper in the fall of 2024, and it only had three numbers on it, and the numbers were 28, 40, and 70, 28 being the number of Americans, the percentage of Americans who thought the country was on the right track, 40% being the president's approval rating, and something approaching 70% saying that the economy was fair or poor. I would have told you that that party, and I knew nothing else, I would say, look at that sheet of paper, say, whoever the incumbent party is, whether the president's running or not, is going to lose that election. Because
Mhm.
no party has ever won with numbers like that. That was the reality that the vice president was facing. She didn't help by being unwilling to separate herself out in any way from any of the policies of the president. But look, there's a larger problem. And I think Democrats do themselves a disservice by not engaging in some introspection here and some reflection on how it is that the party that sees itself as the party of working people came to be seen by so many working people as a party of elites and institutions at a time when many of them feel like elites and institutions have betrayed them.
Hi, I'm Janice, and I am co-founder of Jews United for Democracy and Justice, as well as the America at a Crossroads weekly virtual town hall series. If you like this video, don't just watch. Head over to our website where you can subscribe for early access to new programs, see our upcoming schedules, and participate in our weekly live streams. You can also connect directly with our guests live on Zoom. Head over to JewsUnitedForDemocracy.org. Thanks for watching.
As the Democratic Party has become more of a urban, suburban, professional, college-educated party, more and more the party has come to approach working people more like missionaries and anthropologists. We show up and we say, we're here to help you become more like us. And we know what you need and we're fighting for it. And there's a fundamental disrespect associated with that. And I think that's been communicated. And I think that disdain has been weaponized by Trump and the right-wing populist movement, because there are a lot of reasons for working people to be disenchanted. The system has not worked for them. We talk about, the topic of this discussion is, can democracies survive? I think we have to recognize that among a lot of Americans, there is a sense that this democracy hasn't functioned that well for them. And it's very much intertwined with capitalism and the way the economy has unfolded over the last 40 years. But the truth of the matter is that a large number of Americans have been treading water for a very long time, even as the country has done well. And some Americans, some segment of Americans have done very, very well. But so that's something that we have to come to grips with. The system itself is not working the way it should. And what do we do? What big structural things do we need to do to try and fix that? But that goes along with the attitudinal thing. I mean, I think if people don't feel like you respect them and treat them as peers, uh, uh, that makes it very hard to make the sale. The last thing I'll say is the other thing that Democrats need to be thinking about is Donald Trump, despite what he thinks, is not going to be here forever. There is going to be another president. It may well be a Democratic president. But the question is, Trump, whether you like it or not, is tearing down a lot of institutions, a lot of norms, a lot of programs, a lot of he's just he's bent on tearing things down. Some of the things that are being torn down are things that are going to wound us for generations. Some of the things he's tearing down probably needed to be torn down. That uh, I spent 2 years in Washington in the White House, and I got a pretty good look at Washington. And the fact is, yes, there is, bureaucracy has a life of its own. Inertia is a very powerful force. Uh, and sometimes I feel like the Democratic Party is fighting to maintain the institutions and programs of the 20th century, and Trump's fighting to restore the programs and approaches of the 19th century. And we're sitting here in the 21st century, and we ought to be thinking about where we go from here and how we approach these problems in the 21st century. So I hope that there will be people who will emerge among the Democrats who will bring that, the sensibility to their campaign and really think hard about how we solve some of these big structural problems that conspire against everyday working people, and also how we build a government and a politics that better reflects the times in which we live.
Thank you for joining us. Join us again next week. Next week, Larry Mantle will be talking with David Ignatius about foreign policy. And I will see you soon.